stand by for action.
Thank you, Johnny. My name is Dave Miller. I am the Unpleasant Blind Guy. Now, as people who listen often to my show know, I like to do Awesome American segments after the main stories. It's a feel-good way to end the show. The listeners seem to like it, and certainly I like it. One really fun aspect of it for me is visiting local media outlets and checking out what they have. I really enjoy the smaller cities and towns outlets best, because it's not just the local nightly body count. Now, while researching the last show I was going to record before my Christmas break, I went looking for a nice Awesome American segment to end it with. And then I found one, updated December the 9th, 2017, by WMDW-TV, Channel 8 in Auburn, Maine. I saw this headline, and the hook was set. Sam the Bottle Man fundraisers for kids in need. I thought, this is exactly the sort of Awesome American segment I love to do. Now again, for those who don't know, Awesome American segments are stories about people and organizations, usually individuals, who are doing charitable, patriotic, or extraordinary things here in the United States of America. They're a great way to boost the people of my country. And along the way, they give a nice shout out to a local media outlet that has chosen to share the stories of these people in their communities with the rest of the world. They're absolutely my favorite parts of the show, and they're a pleasure to do. So when I found this story, I settled down for a good read that I thought my audience would like. There was no audio, even though the story was updated a couple of days earlier, but that was all right. I knew I could read the story, however badly. There wasn't much on the page for the story, except for this. South Portland, Maine. Third grader Sam Rideout is making a difference one bottle at a time, raising money to buy presents for kids at the Barbara Bush Children's Hospital. There was no more on the immediate page, but there was a link that said show transcript. Now people, these transcripts are automatically produced using speech-to-data software, much like closed captioning for the deaf. So I said all right, and clicked on the link. There was the story all right, but before that in the transcript was the following. WEBVTT, forward arrow, forward arrow. NAACP leaders say they plan to hold their own museum opening celebration at a different time. First the bait, then the switch. Now I know what some of the race pimps are going to say. Well, you just don't want to hear about black people. That will at least be their excuse for calling me a racist. Well, let me be clear here. This is a sign of the times, and I don't like it. And frankly, neither do a majority of Americans. That's right, of all skin colors. And I'm going to explain why. Everyone acknowledges and everyone knows that there's race bigotry going on, and everyone knows that it's evil. And everyone knows that each of us, in his or her own way, should respect everyone regardless of skin color. These are basics. In the second decade of the 21st century, the President of the United States should not have had to come out after a march that was disrupted by leftist radicals and said a second time how bad he thinks white supremacy is. I'll tell you this, guys, if I had been President Trump, I would have come to the podium and said, all right, guys, this is my statement about white supremacy. White supremacy is evil. And in other news, water is wet, the sun is hot, and pizza is yummy. Guys, it's obvious. The progressive left is trying to make it sound like there are racists under every bed. Anyone remember the old left-wing lampoon of people on the right saying, well, you guys think there's a communist under every bed? 'Cause I do. Well, now, Sadly, some of the leaders of the progressive left are saying there's a racist under every bed. Every white household holds a secret nexus of white supremacy. Come on. I've never heard of more white supremacy meetings, white supremacy this, white supremacy that, white supremacy the other thing, than I have since President Trump was elected. This is all a device being used to resist, as the progressive left said they were going to do. But it's not to resist the election of President Trump. It's to resist the rejection of their philosophies and their ideals. Well, I've got some news. And this goes out to any progressives that might be listening to this. Your philosophies and your ideals don't work. They never scale up and actually manage to function to run a society for any longer than maybe about a generation or two. And then they begin to fall down because they're unsustainable. Now, yes, I know for the rank and file, you want to help. You want to house the homeless. You want to feed the hungry. You want to heal the sick. All very laudable. But the methods you've chosen to do that don't work over a long period of time. But sadly, listeners, people like President Obama, the shadow government that is creating what amounts to a soft coup in the United States of America, academia, and the leftist press, simply don't want to face reality. And the reality is that at the end of 2016, ordinary people who had seen the results of progressivism and lived with it for 8 years looked at history, looked at other countries, and decided that conservatism was a better way. And it is. And guys, not any one of your tricks, not any of your artifice, nor any of your antics are going to force people to vote for your candidates. If nothing else, it'll force them the other way. Now, very likely, the NAACP information in this transcript was an honest mistake. I'm willing to accept that possibility because these speech-to-text systems are not 100%. A good example was illustrated when a friend of mine was watching a movie about 1930s gangsters with the closed captioning turned on, and suddenly Babyface Nelson was Haiti Face Nelson. So I'm willing to accept the possibility that this was an honest mistake. However, it is a very convenient honest mistake for the kind of messaging that the progressive left is trying to pervade us with in movies, in TV, in ads, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. People, there comes a point of diminishing returns. A message is only effective if people are willing to listen to it. Consider the knee takers in professional football. They've lost the NFL a huge audience because they chose to put their message out in the wrong way, at the wrong place, and at the wrong time. You guys know the best way to improve race relations? It's the way we did it 40 years ago. It's called getting together, being with each other, talking to each other, discussing our commonalities, struggles in life that we all share. Sports was one of those, but now they're trying to take that away. And now it's even come down to heartwarming stories about young people lending a hand in their community. The bait and switch. Well, people, I've got this message for 2018. Whatever the progressive left does, we cannot let it drive us to become haters like them. We need to stay lawful, we need to stay focused, and we need to hold irresponsible public officials to account, legally, for not protecting every voice and the civil liberties of every citizen. Because people, we know that in the end, we win. And unlike the progressive left, we're going to do it with class. Now, you can find the articles on these websites at UBG Contact on Twitter. That's where you can contact me with comments, questions, show suggestions, Awesome American suggestions. It is the main contact point for the show, but I'm also Dave Milner on Facebook, the Tea Party Community, and Connect with Liberty, and a Magador on Gab. Now let me read the rest of that story that's in that transcript. 9-year-old Sam is making a big difference. The third grader started a bottle drive in South Portland last year, and since then has raised more than $1,500. The money will go to buy toys for kids at Barbara Bush Children's Hospital for the holiday. This year, Sam partnered with the South Portland Center, where he was taking donations today. He is hoping to reach his goal. And this is a quote from Sam. "I just wanted to be nice to them and make them have something to do and have a pretty good Christmas, and I feel bad that they have to be there for Christmas." And then it evidently goes back into the studio. "He is small, but he has a big heart. He also appeared on the radio to spread his message." There's a little bit more to the transcript, but it makes no sense. And I can't help but think that if someone had not possibly infused the NAACP stuff at the beginning, we might have been able to get the whole story. Alright, that's one Awesome American, despite the bait and switch. Now here is some more. The giving spirit is alive and well at All Saints School in Bangor, Maine, as you'll hear in this feature by Gina Marini for WVII-TV Channel 7 and WVFX-TV Channel 22, both of Bangor, Maine.
St. John Church on York Street was filled with angelic voices as the children from All Saints School spread across the pews during a mass to recognize the Feast of the Immaculate Conception.
It is when Mary was conceived in her mother's womb without sin and was chosen to be the mother of Jesus.
Over the last several years, students have held a baby shower, bringing gifts and placing them at a statue of Mary, but these presents won't be staying at the church.
We're bringing baby gifts for mothers who don't necessarily have a whole lot, so we can help them out in the greater Bangor area.
School officials say there's always going to be a need in the community, and it's important for kids to recognize that.
Whether it be young children, middle-aged people, or elderly. And so it's important that all of us have that sense of community and helping one another.
Diapers, clothing, bottles, and more. Kids have a choice of picking out one thing to give, something many seem to enjoy.
I think it's kind of fun to go shopping for stuff like this for babies, because then you know that you're doing something good and the babies can now get what they need.
It really makes me feel a lot better that some of these mothers like their babies knowing that they'll be warm, because people have been giving hats and mittens and like diapers and things, so it really helps them out so they can focus on buying things like food.
The items will then be distributed to area agencies who help new mothers in need. Last year, close to 400 items were collected, and this year, the School of All Saints hopes to exceed that.
It's the Christmas season, and we should really be giving all the time.
In Bangor, Gina Marini for ABC 7 and Fox 22.
And there you have two examples of the giving spirit in the United States of America. As these young people work for others, in practical ways and in their own style, it gives hope for our nation's future. We are one people, of all skin colors, and we will move forward together, despite those who want to tear us apart. The giving spirit of love is what makes Sam Rideout and the students at All Saints School in Bangor, Maine, awesome Americans. And that's it for this time. I appreciate each and every one of you. Thank you for listening, and may your God go with you. Goodbye.
The Unpleasant Blind Guy is copyright 2018. Anno Domini.